With the games coming thick and fast for Arsenal, it is vital they continue to get 3 points. And with brilliant camos recently, I think it's time that Thomas Partey gets a starting position in the team permanently and starts tonight against Chelsea. But why do I think he will elevate Arsenal and make them better? Well, let's get into it. Now, originally, I was a little bit wary of just putting Thomas Partey in. A lot of people wanted it, but I thought he was still quite rusty and Jorginho was still playing at a high level. However, recently, Arsenal have been getting a bit outdone by the tactics of other teams. There is a blueprint on how to beat the press of our system and how to get out our team, which has not been going well. This starts where the opposing team will usually take a goal kick short and eventually the two centre-backs would spread wide, making sure Odegaard has to cover even the midfielder that's running from deep or the big area between it, giving the goalkeeper substantial areas to move up the pitch and be able to find passes in either direction. This then means that Odegaard has to cover a lot of ground in a lot of the games, making sure he runs a lot, making sure he doesn't get tired, but he also has to press from the side of the opposition player as opposed to the front of them. This makes it much easier to play through because you can sort of see him coming and take your time and pass it through the middle. We even saw this against Wolves at the weekend. This is something they did as well, where they gave the ball out to Kilman and Odegaard tried to catch up with him. But this led Wolves' defenders could easily carry into midfield before playing line breaking passes or clipping the ball down the line. Now, straight away, a good suggestion of Arsenal to try and break this and make sure this press is better is to let the six be a lot more aggressive in a role of the high press. When Rice and Jorginho play, they typically start halfway between the opposition six and the central attackers, so they can jump to press or drop back if the ball goes over the top. However, because of the difficulties of Arsenal have had in pressing centre-backs dropping outside the width of the 18-yard box, it would make sense to make the six go right aggressive on one of the midfield players, making sure Odegaard can just go for the centre-back. This will allow Arsenal to be able to press man-to-man with aggression, and this can help pen teams in and get the ball up in a final third position. Now, of course, I do need to caveat this could be a bit risky. They could easily play the ball over the top if the other team has midfielders or their attackers come deeper and they don't have that six to protect them. But if you have other players like some of the wingers being a bit deeper, maybe they could get into the middle to help, but it's better because it allows the other teams not to have sustained possession and be able to bring the ball up in midfield. And this is where Partey can come in. He's a much more aggressive player, he's much more mobile player than people like Jorginho and can also cover that right back spot. This is what Jorginho does, he covers it when Ben White will move in or invert, but you don't necessarily need that always to happen. Partey's physicality and his movement can get you in a position where he can cover for Rice and Rice can press up a lot quicker. And I also think Partey is just much more going to be in the play, being able to run around and lose defenders than Jorginho, who we've seen get two-manned up on and lose the ball quite often. And I also think he is a really key part to Arsenal's attack. Arsenal's midfield hasn't been working as much as I would want it to, and I think Arteta would as well. I've been saying that Martin Odegaard to me plays more as an 8, and I do like his creativity, but I don't think it's substantial enough by himself to be reliant on at least for the rest of the season or consistently. It has done well with us, but we've had other things that have helped that have made it a lot more better. And I would not have any qualms of playing Smith Rowe in there as a 10 and maybe moving Odegaard to the left. I've said this before, putting him in that 8, maybe playing him a bit deeper. But I think we also need people that are going to progress the ball with Odegaard if you're going to leave Odegaard out on that right side, which I think Arteta will do. This is where I think Thomas Partey could be key, because I think if you put Thomas Partey deeper and you let Declan Rice do his brilliant on the ball run, and we saw this very much a later game against Wolves, it doesn't mean he has to worry about always shadow marking and defending as well. Thomas Partey is a very solid defender and can cover ground. I liked it against Wolves where he was often always behind Rice but always in a comfortable area of him, and we had so many different times where he could pass the ball through and Declan Rice can run on because Declan Rice has got a brilliant engine. You could have Partey and Declan Rice be a lot more aggressive going forward because I trust them to get back. I think they're much more better at it. And if you just look at Thomas Partey's stats from passing in the last year, they are incredible for his position. He's making a substantial and incredible amount of passes and reaching around 9 progressive passes per 90 with 3 progressive carries. He's so good at picking the ball up and putting it in between two defenders and getting us through, or making the run where he thinks he can do it. I think there's been a few question marks over his fitness, which I think is fair, and his rustiness, but I think against Wolves and the game before, he's got a little bit better. And I think you could tell the team trusted him a lot because Arsenal's movement and flow was so much better when he came on. Odegaard was picking up space space, he was getting help out there because Declan Rice was always making runs from deep and bringing the ball forward. This is how we scored the second goal, and not only did this help players like Martin Odegaard, this helped people like Martinelli so much. Martinelli came on later against Wolves, but he kept getting good chances. He had 2 good chances where he had the ball where he wanted in a 1v1 running into the box, and this is because Declan Rice was making that progression because he was allowed to go forward because Thomas Partey was going deeper. And not only that, Declan Rice was making midfield runs from deep with Thomas Partey passing it. When you have people like Havertz coming into midfield heading it down, Thomas Partey's a brilliant passer. They can pass it through for Declan Rice to run onto the ball and give the ball to the attackers like Saka, Martinelli or Odegaard. And Thomas Partey is so good at withstanding pressure. He can have a few players on him and keep the ball, and when he's in his full flow, he is a very good player and definitely makes the players around him a lot better. I think that's the most important thing. He can play to the Jorginho level, but he's a lot easier to have the ball for Arsenal and a lot easier for the tactics to be better for our team because it gives more freedom and more movement to the players going forward. And I don't think we have been creating too much recently. We're creating a lot, but even against Wolves, I don't think it was a substantial amount to have a guaranteed win. And I like how Partey and Declan Rice can sort of switch positions a lot, and one of them can be the 6 and one of them can progress the ball forward because they both like going forward with the ball. With Jorginho, the issue is that he isn't going to do that. He isn't going to run with the ball. He isn't going to make big runs and progressive carries through the midfield because he simply just doesn't have the mobility and the ability to actually do that. He will do great deep line passes, but when you get 2 men on him and get him out of the game, he has to come deep and it's a lot harder for him to be effective. But Partey can be effective anywhere on the pitch, and his long passing is great and his passing is great overall. And I just think it gives us a lot more confidence and hopefully sorts out the midfield to a certain level where we got more creative freedom going on the left and right side to help Martin Odegaard. And I still think it's likely that because of his injury record and his age that Thomas Partey will probably be leaving in the summer, so I think we can get a good output out of him here before he ends up leaving, and hopefully we can end up winning something with him if he can continue these performances up. But we've got Chelsea tonight, which is obviously a massive game, and Chelsea are not the worst transitional team in the league. They're very good at putting quick passes together and breaking. We saw it against Manchester City, so I think we need to be very aggressive on them and be very ready for this to happen, because if not, they can definitely cause us problems on the break, and they will be probably sitting in a mid to low block waiting for us to then pounce on us in the future. And of course, against Man City, I think every time they play against Man City, they've played very well, and against us, they played well as well. So they are a team that is set up for a team like us to play against them, which is very concerning. And I've said this for weeks, but ultimately it comes down to Mikel Arteta and what he expects and what he can trust Partey with, because there's been a few weeks where I don't think he has trusted Partey, but I think with that Wolves cameo and our team played a lot better from that, I think that might give him a lot more confidence. And if you can get 60 minutes, 70 minutes out of Thomas Partey in this game, which I should expect by now, he has been back for a while, then I think overall he probably will have a good performance. Against Luton and stuff, he looked a bit shaky, but that was a while ago now, and I think he is ready to actually start a game where we really need it of much importance. And considering he's only played 471 minutes this season, and we're at the end of the season where players really need to be rested, I know people want our main team to play because it's crunch time, and I get that, but we need to play these players as well. And I think Thomas Partey was always going to play if he was fit, so I think it's a good time to get him in. And I think Jorginho has been brilliant, but I think it's probably time, with our tactics being quite obvious now yet again and people understanding how we're trying to play, I think it's a bit stupid if we continue to do that, and we should change it up, especially considering how much it means. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think Thomas Partey should start, or do you think we should continue with Jorginho or continue with Havertz in midfield and put Jesus up front? Let me know. Thank you guys for watching. If you like my video, please watch my videos yesterday, and if not, I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.